Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. Today guys, as usual, many things to say. We will go from Chelsea to the situation of Real Madrid, from Rodri to Rodrygo, but also Benjamin Šeško, the story of the moment. Let's jump into it together. And so guys, many movements on the market. We are always ready. My phone is always ringing. Many news, many updates to give you. And today let's start with some players signing their contracts. Luis Díaz signed his contract at Bayern, 4-year deal, so everything completed with Liverpool. James Trafford, the new goalkeeper of Manchester City, 5-year deal plus 1-year option. Ndoye to Nottingham Forest from Bologna, 40 million euros plus 5 in add-ons, 10% sell-on clause. Here we go, yesterday, contract to be signed today. And so many movements around Europe on the market. But I wanted to start also by mentioning Chelsea, because their negotiations with Ajax for Jorrel Hato are advancing very well. So a story I've been telling you for the last 2 weeks, 10 days. The agreement between Hato and Chelsea on the contract is absolutely done. Hato did his part by telling Ajax management, by telling the manager, Johnny Tinga, about his desire to be a Chelsea player as soon as possible. Now the two clubs are getting closer. Chelsea don't want to go over 40 million euros. Ajax want more, starting over 50, but let's say that midway probably the solution can be found. And so Jorrel Hato expected to be new Chelsea player in the next days, also because the player is really convinced about this opportunity, this project. He had several chances over the summer transfer window around Europe. He's one of the best defenders in Europe. He can be a centre-back, he can be a left-back, he can provide also some cover for Marc Cucurella when needed, an important backup for the Spanish left-back. On Cucurella, guys, we had some stories about Al-Nassr, but I'm told that there is no bid and nothing really concrete. Cucurella is a really important part of Chelsea project. And I would not be surprised if Chelsea in the next months try to maybe discuss a new contract with Marc Cucurella. So I would keep an eye on that one. Remember this line on this YouTube video. But for sure, for Chelsea, Jorrel Hato is a priority. And so the negotiations are advancing. The negotiations are going well, with Chelsea prepared to close the deal for Jorrel Hato as soon as possible. Negotiations well underway. And don't forget also about Xavi Simons, because also that conversation with Leipzig is ongoing, is underway. Also important, guys, to mention more about Real Madrid. First of all, I wanted to clarify something about Rodri, because we are receiving many questions on the situation of Rodri, Real Madrid for this summer. Guys, for this summer, there is nothing happening for Rodri. Rodri is staying at Manchester City. Rodri is recovering from an important injury, and it's not the right moment to think about transfers or this kind of things. So there is zero happening, zero happened, zero gonna happen this summer for Rodri. So the situation is completely quiet. Then in the next months, for Rodri, it's going to be time also to decide on this new contract, because Manchester City already started discussing a new contract with Rodri some time ago. And so this new contract topic is going to enter important stages. Real Madrid, of course, appreciate Rodri. Who doesn't appreciate a Ballon d'Or, a fantastic player like him? But at the moment, for Real Madrid, this summer is not something that can happen or is being negotiated. Then, for the future, we will see what happens in these conversations between Rodri and Manchester City over new contract. If he decides to sign a new deal, if he decides to change and try something new. But at the moment, Rodri is fully focused on Manchester City. It's important to say that. Fully focused on being in best conditions possible for the new season. As we're talking about Real Madrid, guys, I wanted to mention something also on Rodrygo, because he's still one of the names you ask me more on all my platforms, also here on YouTube. But guys, what I'm hearing on Rodrygo is still the same I told you last week. At the moment, I know there are many reports, many stories, but trust me, there is still nothing advanced for Rodrygo. Still nothing really close to being completed. Now Rodrygo is returning from his holiday. After his agents had some conversation with Real Madrid about his future. The conversations have started. But it depends on Rodrygo. Is the player himself, together with his family, together with his father, together with his agent, who has to decide whether they want to stay at Real Madrid or go and be a star elsewhere. So that's the decision for Rodrygo. As I told you already, and I can confirm this, it's not an easy decision for Rodrygo. Rodrygo loves Real Madrid, Rodrygo loves the club, Rodrygo is convinced that he can still be an important player for Real Madrid. You know, the feeling for Rodrygo is not like, okay, I can't be a Real Madrid player anymore, I want to go. This is not the feeling. Rodrygo really feels that he can be important for this squad, for this Real Madrid team. At the same time, it's important to say that at the Club World Cup, he was basically constantly on the bench. So Rodrygo needs to decide, and it's not an easy decision when you love the club, when you love Real Madrid, when you love the fans. Rodrygo has a fantastic relationship with all Real Madrid fans, so it's on Rodrygo to decide now. I can guarantee that all the clubs being linked at the moment are not close, are not in advanced negotiations with Rodrygo or with Real Madrid. There were rumors about Tottenham. Tottenham are not in the conversation for Rodrygo, guys. Tottenham and Rodrygo is not something realistic to happen this summer, so forget about that. In case Rodrygo will decide to go, we will see all the options available. There are several possibilities, but at the moment, nothing really advanced or concrete yet, as it's gonna be on Rodrygo, and obviously he wants to take his time to make a big decision like the one of staying or leaving from Real Madrid. Then, guys, I wanted to touch on the big story of these days, Benjamin Šeško, because the fight is ongoing. The fight between Manchester United and Newcastle is ongoing with different options, with different strategies. Newcastle, I can confirm what I said last week. Newcastle are ready. If Benjamin Šeško calls and says, okay, I'm coming to join you, Newcastle are ready to pay what Leipzig want. Newcastle already spoke to all people close to Šeško. And so they are ready to pay what Leipzig want, and they are ready to pay what the player wants. So ready financially to make a big investment. Also because obviously they are aware of the situation between Isaac and Liverpool. On the other side, Manchester United are working on these deals financially to understand whether they can make it happen or not. So Benjamin Šeško is a big name on the list of Manchester United. Also, Ollie Watkins. Last week, Man United had a direct contact with Aston Villa. As I told you, they spoke about Dibu Martinez and more, and they also spoke about Ollie Watkins. Villa want to keep Ollie Watkins, so it's not an easy deal, while for Šeško, it's already accepted internally at Leipzig that he's probably going to leave this summer. It's still not decided, but he's probably going to leave this summer. For Ollie Watkins, Villa want to resist and want to keep the player. So, Man United have two different options: an experienced Premier League proven player or a big talent, a gem like Benjamin Šeško. For Šeško, they made contact with the player camp, they spoke about the project, they spoke about the vision. Now it's on Manchester United to decide whether they want to go big, if they can do it financially, or if they will turn their attention on a different striker like Ollie Watkins, who remains again on the list, despite Aston Villa insisting on player not for sale for this summer transfer window. So we will be following the situation, because Šeško will now take his time to consider all his options, to decide what he wants to do with Newcastle, with Manchester United. Many calls from Saudi, but the player wants to stay in Europe. Red Bull Leipzig also wait for Šeško to make a decision. On Manchester United, I can tell you also, to add one more detail, don't forget that the man behind the story is a man who knows Red Bull Group very well, and is Christopher Vivell. Christopher Vivell is a former director from Red Bull Group, then he joined Chelsea and then Manchester United, but Christopher Vivell internally is driving this interest in Benjamin Šeško. So pushing for this opportunity. He knows the boy, he knows his potential, he knows his development, how special can be. So two different options, two different strategies is going to be on Benjamin Šeško, but for sure an interesting one to follow in the next days. And so, guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories, Hato and Chelsea, but also Rodri. What do you expect to do in the future? Real Madrid, Manchester City, not for this summer, but for the future. And then Rodrygo, what should he do? Stay at Real Madrid, compete, fight for your place, or maybe go where? Let me know in the comments also what do you think about Benjamin Šeško, Newcastle, Manchester United, and more. Guys, as always, I wait for your opinion here. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Ciao.